And the thing is that if this ethno-state utopia that you are advocating for, Muslims in their own country, whites in their own country, as long as there is liberalism and this idea that we have to spread these values of freedom and
I don't believe in liberalism.
You don't. Okay, you don't, but most white nationalists do. Most
No,
white
white nationalists believe in liberalism. White nationalists don't believe in... What are you even talking about?
Liberalism.
White nationalists rail against liberalism constantly. We don't believe in liberal values. We believe...
You don't believe in democracy. You don't believe in democracy. You don't believe in secularism.
We don't believe in secularism, and we don't believe in the kind of democracy
you believe in a
we have
Christian
now.
state.
No.
You believe in a Christian... Britain should be a Christian state.
If you actually read our literature, most of our people either want to live in a Christian state or are actually practicing other ancient European religions. We don't want to live in some secular state where there's multiple religions all rubbing up alongside each other. No, that's not what we want to live in. We want to live in ethnostates. We want to live in states which are defined by our people. Europe is the land for the Europeans.
I mean,
Europe
you can have a
white
country
people and largely by Christianity for a good number of years, for many hundreds of years, and that's how we want it to stay. But but equally, we want you guys, white nationalists, want you guys to have the same in the Middle East. We want you guys to have your own countries and your own spaces.
You're not representative. You're not representative of whites. That's the problem. You're liberal.
I'm not representative.
You can have.
I'm a white nationalist.
Yeah, I know. So the problem is that you have if you would have an ethno-state full of liberal, like you can have an ethno-state that is just full of gay whites, gay atheist whites. That would also be an ethno-state, wouldn't it?
What? But this is the most ridiculous point I've ever heard. I don't want homosexuality to be pushed as a norm. I don't want homosexual couples to be adopting children. I do not want the LGBT agenda to be pushed in schools. I do not want drag queens going in to schools and singing to children. It's sickening. And when I see Muslims
if that's
railing
what you
against this, I praise them for doing so, and I say, "Well, hands up! These guys are doing something good." Because I join you on that.
But this is the contradiction.
We have a lot in common.
This is the contradiction, though, Mark, because you want traditionalism, you want Christian values, but you also want to embrace the Enlightenment. You know how anti-Christianity and
stop telling me what I want.
So you reject the Enlightenment. You reject the Enlightenment.
I just told you what I want. I want a traditionalist European ethno-state, and I agree with you on the issues of LGBT, degeneracy, women's liberation, feminism. So I don't know why you're trying to argue that point with me, because if you're trying to argue that point, you should just say, well, actually, Mark, we agree. So you have, children. Great, you're a father. You don't want your children to be taught that homosexuality is a healthy, normal, or even preferential way of life to normal heterosexual relations. You don't want that, do you?
No.
Boom. Neither do I, my friend. Neither do I. It sickens me. The thought of your children or my child going to school and being told, or watching TV shows and being told, or being told in any way that kind of degeneracy is basically normal and healthy is something that upsets me, and I'm sure it upsets you. So that's something we've got in common, yeah?
So I think that we can find common ground. I'm saying this in good faith. I did not know that you had such pro-theocracy views. Could you agree that we need theocracy in the world? On a global level, we need theocracy, right? And Muslim countries need Sharia.
And I want the Shiite Muslims who live in Syria to take power into their hands. And if they want a theocracy and an Islamic theocracy, they should be allowed to have that, and good for them.
Imagine Islam somehow without immigration in the future Christian ethno-nationalist state. You have Islam somehow spreads. It's just compelling to Britons or Europeans at that time. And in the future, Islam becomes the majority religion even though it's a white ethno-state. And then, those individuals will not have a problem seeing mosques and hearing the call
Well,
to
if
prayer.
that was to happen, and that was a natural spread, that would be something that would be nature taking its course, and you would have to concede that. My issue with multiculturalism, and this is the key to what I've said all along today, is the multiculturalism that we are seeing, the mass immigration we are seeing, is not a natural phenomenon. I'm not arguing about theoretical natural spreads of theology in the future. What I'm arguing against is forced forms of multiculturalism that come about from what I believe to be this undue Zionist influence.
Yeah, so you don't have, you don't see ethno-nationalism being contradictory to Islam. It's just, this is the heritage that you are familiar with, the heritage that you want to preserve because of, your personal experience. Does not include Islam, but that's not a principled objection that you have to Islam as a religion. You could very well imagine a Islamic Britain in the future, as long as it's happening organically. People are accepting it based on how compelling it is. That's something that you don't have a problem with.
Yeah, essentially, yes. I am not against Islam, and I do believe Islam has a place in the world. And I want to make a point, because a lot of people keep conflating me with, say, Tommy Robinson or the anti-jihad movement or Anne-Marie Waters. Tommy Robinson, Anne-Marie Waters, and the anti-jihad movement hate me as much as they hate you. They hate me. They despise me. I am blacklisted from their events. They've made documentaries about how much they hate me. Tommy Robinson made an entire documentary called How to Burn a Nazi, where he attacked me and basically told all of his supporters not to listen to me. I am not in that camp. Those people do not like me. They disavow ethnic nationalism. They stand for liberalism. They stand, in many ways, people like Anne-Marie Waters, she is in fact a lesbian. She stands for LGBT rights. I do not stand for those things. That is not ethno-nationalism, and those people would not even regard themselves or describe themselves as ethno-nationalists. So there's a huge difference there.